Live from Chattanooga, Tennessee, it's Nouganomics with David Tulis.
Chloe Morrison at Nougat.com is reporting that the Gig Tank is going year-round. This is a local startup accelerator, and it is an annual event at the company lab, and it's going to be full-time all the time, and it will go by the name Gig Tank 365, and you can read the story at Nougat.com. Also, I hope to look a little bit at how systems break. How is it that we know that we're at the end of one system and entering into another system or an asystemic situation in the national economy? And the study, there's a study that is reported in the Atlantic Monthly about how scientists are trying to figure out, using evolutionary theory, how it is that systems fail, and that how suddenly a minor event can cause a cataclysmic change in that system, whether it's in nature or in public health or in the financial sector. The loss of snapback, the way that small disturbances can have a gigantic effect. These are an area of study in that field. And if I can't get to it, you're just going to have to forgive me. We're looking right now at how individual men like you, my listener, create value for other people. And you do that in the area of your gifts, in the area of your experience, I would say in God's providence, where you're put into a certain location, a certain place in the context of other people, and you're doing the best you can, not just to survive, not just to make a living, not just to have revenue. These are all important things, of course, but you're there, I would hope, because you want to help people succeed in what they're doing. So what if you're a police officer? What do you do there? Well, apparently, about 7 out of every 10 officers has a moonlighting gig, a part-time gig, and that is to say he is using what he knows in the policing business to help other people, usually owners of property, businesses that would like to have a sturdy man in blue there, looking out for things, looking out for the customers, making sure that the property is in good order, and maybe if you could be there to stop some great crime. A mass shooting, for example, or an armed robbery. Well, there he is. He's coming out of the men's room. An armed robbery is in progress, and the officer, who's on the payroll maybe a couple hours that day, is the hero of the moment, stopping the attack or stopping the shooter, if that is what the assailant is about to do, and saving the day. Tetzel Tillery has been in the Chattanooga Police Department for nearly 25 years. It will be 25 years on the 4th of October. And he's 54 years old. He's married. His wife Joanne, and he have a son. His name is Joseph Tillery, and right now he's 18 years old. Right now he's at Wofford College in Spartanburg, South Carolina. Tetzel, tell my listener how it is you add value to the marketplace in your teaching, well, not your teaching, but your policing gifts and experience. What are you doing beyond the 40 you put in for the Chattanooga Police Department?
Since you put it like that, I guess you could say just multitasking. Well, it's extra employment. And like we discussed earlier, I have between 4 to 5 extra jobs. And what constitutes that, of course, as a deterrent, of course, I'm there on site, but I'm in touch with the community. Small problems might occur, like if I'm at a restaurant, one of my employment, like McDonald's, I might be sitting inside. A tourist comes along. I give directions. I give them benefits of a scenic city, or where they might go, where they might not go. And also for the security of the store, like panhandlers or would-be aggressive panhandlers or trespassers, I'm a deterrent to them. Now, a lot of times, you might say we're harsh on the panhandlers, but I've been there several times.
You mean we as police officers, or we as part-time cops on the
or general public? It's like feeding a cat. You start giving it, like if you give a donation, I'd say they keep coming back. Well, 1 or 2 particular times I was out of uniform, just doing something for the store. In general, out of uniform, and didn't recognize me. I noticed these 2 particular panhandlers. Once they got few dollars for customers, a few customers walked next door and pulled out their front pocket and had a wad that would make you choke. So a lot of times it's a scam. I hate to say it, but it's a scam. But mostly when I'm there in uniform, they know me and I know them, and no, not to panhandle or hang around or trespass, but basically multitasking. It all comes into one supporting the community.
So if we say we know that every man has a genius of some kind, and I think genius is probably more widespread than than the people who run public schools would suppose. Genius is an innate gift. It's an innate interest that every man, every woman has. I would say it comes from God, and his job is to make that more valuable, to make it more useful to more people, and in so doing make a living for himself. So you say, Tetzel Tillery, that you have five jobs altogether. One of those is the police department. Well, tell us what other places engage you for the service of security.
Okay, one particular place. Of course, I mentioned the McDonald's on Russell Boulevard and Namacola Highway.
So that's two separate restaurants.
That's correct.
Well, hold on. The one on Namacola Highway is opposite the Police Services Center.
That's correct.
And what about the one in Rossville?
Ross Boulevard. Right across from Walter A. Woods.
Just north of the border.
That's correct. Also, I direct traffic for a charter school off of Kelly and Wilson Street. And then also employed by JJ's Liquor Store on Russell Boulevard as well.
Well, now hold on. The count is going up here. The school, you forgot about the school. So JJ's is one, McDonald's is one, the school is one. And what days do you take that?
Thursday and Fridays.
Are those your off days?
Yes, that's correct.
Thursdays and Fridays. And well, the list goes on. Whom else engages you, Tetzel Tillery, in security?
Well, if it's special events like birthday parties or wedding ceremonies or whatever, banquet halls might hire me out as security for that as well. So,
did you mention Bojangles?
Bojangles.
Okay. Well. Now I met. Oh, I'm sorry. What was that?
Bojangles as well on East 23rd Street, which is all in the one event is just in the general area that I patrol in as well, in the East Lake and Highland Park area. So it's a benefit to me as well.
Now you're also to be found occasionally at a public establishment on Brainerd Road that's filled with gold and silver and fine watches. One watch I saw is $1,500. There's gold coming in. There's cash going out. It's the owner dispenses cash for jewelry and necklaces and so on. Tell us about that gig, Tetzel Tillery.
Okay, of course that's Rick Davis Gold and Diamonds on Brainerd Road, and he has basically police around the clock, but me and another officer split duty hours there, which is around between 4 hours a day, Monday through Friday or Monday through Saturday. However, we fluctuate your schedule by looking at the peak times of the week.
And so what is Rick Davis's concern that he's satisfying by having you there? What is his main concern?
Well, I mean, like you stated earlier, it's a large amount of gold. I mean, precious metals that come through: gold, silver, platinum, as well as a lot of cash. Customer comes in, buys and sells gold, and customer walks out with cash in hand. Of course, with the police presence, we will make sure that the customer gets to its car safely with the cash, and make sure we do. We also monitor parking lot security as well. No loitering or unwanted people that's in the parking lot or in the general businesses as well in that area. So
when you're sort of on patrol or standing sentinel at Rick Davis Gold and Diamonds, you look out the door, the glass door, and say, well, there's someone leaning against the car there, a man in his 20s with a shaggy coat. And we have here a lady who's trying to get some cash or asking about some rings she has. She's liquidating part of an estate she's inherited, and she's going to be going out there in a few minutes. I better go out and check this gentleman, and ask him some questions, right?
Well, basically, we normally whenever a customer pulls up, we're aware who pulls up with the customer, who's in the car, and we also look out front and back to see anyone that's walking up or just sitting in the car. So you basically hit that. You got that right.
Now, your wife, Joanne, also worked in the police department and recently retired. Now, tell us about how you met her, Tetzel Tillery.
While I started the academy, she was going to lunch one particular day, and my academy was going to lunch, and we accidentally bumped into each other and introduced myself. And And she basically said, well, nice meeting you, but when you become a rookie, then give me a holler. And 6 weeks later, I gave her a holler.
And so she is your wife, Joanne, looking for some other line of work in which to enter now that she's retired from as an officer?
No, she's
resting.
She's resting, but we have great grandkids as well. So that's her job. She's looking after the grandkids during her spare time, but she's basically enjoying retirement at this time. She spent 28 years in the communication department of the Chattanooga Police Department.
What are some of the challenges and the hard things about being an officer who's off police duty but serving a business establishment? What are things that are kind of that raise questions in your mind of, did I do the right thing? Did I say the right thing?
Well, sometimes you run into civil disputes between the business owner and the establishment you're working for, and you're trying not to supersede taking advantage of, or it might seem to the customer that you're taking sides with the business owner. But normally you're there for protection and safety for the customer as well as the business itself.
So you're not the arbitrator between the man behind the counter and the irate customer.
No, basically we're there for security matters only, and not to intervene in civil matter. And most of the time, if it does become a disorder civilly, and we make our stance that this is a civil matter, we're not really intervening in that. Normally, the business and the customer settles it between themselves.
Have you had any bad experiences that you'd want to tell my listener about from which you've learned something?
It's been a few where a few arrests have had to be made on certain extra jobs, but that comes along with every employment, or part that comes along with my duties. I've had to arrest maybe a disorderly person or intoxicated person, or someone's trying to pass counterfeit bills. It comes along, or even a shoplifter, but that comes along with the territory. But 90% of the time, as long as I'm there in uniform and police presence, that's more of a deterrent than anything. Now, we've had several customers walk in, see our presence, and walk right back out, and that's good.
Well, say something about the incident of the man or the woman passing or trying to pass the counterfeit currency. What happened there?
Well, basically, someone attempted to purchase an item, and it was the clerks said it was counterfeit. Well, it brought it to my attention. I explained to the customer that it was counterfeit, and of course, they said, "Well, I just got it from the bank down the street." And I said, "Well, we will have to take possession of this and turn it into property because that's our protocol, and it turns it over to the Secret Service." Well, they got into a shouting match saying, "You're not going to take my money. I just got this." And of course, we did a little investigation. Did she actually go to the bank and receive that? Came to find out she didn't, and had additional $120 in counterfeit bills from 5 to 10. And basically, she was going to local businesses in the general area, making small purchases using the counterfeit bills and trying to get change from that.
When this is David Tulis. We're talking with Tetzel Tillery, who's a Chattanooga police officer of long standing. You probably know his name. For a time, he was the PIO, the public information officer for the department. So his name has been in the paper many, many times, and he's dealt with many reporters and journalists and cameramen. Well, let me ask you about this incident of the counterfeit money. When you made that arrest, were you operating in the same capacity that a citizen such as my listener can operate in, making a citizen's arrest, or were you operating in your corporate capacity as an officer of the police department? In other words, you're there on a private gig. Do you suddenly become a police officer and make an arrest with all the powers entailed that entails, or were you again operating privately in the same capacity that my listener has, and he can make an arrest too, right? Cannot my listener make a citizen's arrest?
He can possibly he can detain. But in my case, I'm officer. My credentials say I'm police officer 24/7.
Okay.
If the law's been broken, whether I'm on duty, off duty, I have to enforce.
Whether the clock down at the services department is running or not, Tetzel Tillery is always a police officer, except at dinner. I guess, right?
Something
When you come
like
home
that.
and Joanna's cooking your dinner.
But normally, if I'm out in the public or if law's been broken or whatever, have to enforce laws 24/7. That's what our credentials say.
We have an email question. What is the biggest reward for you, Tetzel Tillery, as a police officer?
Biggest reward, I guess you want to say it's corny around Christmas time when you don't see certain things going on, but you see like these gun-ho officers. You don't see the soft side of it when they basically come out their own pockets or do things behind the scenes of getting toys and gifts and help needy families that never get attention-wise. That's the biggest thing. It's several officers who wouldn't want to take the credit, but you think they're just gun-ho or whatever, but they're the softies. They're the ones behind the scenes when you actually see them going in their areas that they patrol and giving back to the community out of their own pockets, not asking for donations, not asking help from the department, doing it themselves. That's the biggest thing I get.
Here's a question that's kind of hard. What would you change if you could in the world of security and policing, whether it's public as a police officer or in the private world? Are there things that you think need to be changed? Is there anything that maybe benefits my listener in changing of security? Like, for example, with apps, are apps somehow going to make security more belonging to the listener and less belonging to either the state or private police departments that protect businesses?
I think as a whole, businesses and the department itself would have to meet and come along. I mean, we will all have to have a partnership, not just one entity against the other entity. I think if we'd, like you and I are talking, if we all just came together and meet and gather general ideas instead of one entity just coming up with one idea, it takes a group and you compare the ideas, because no one has a monopoly of ideas.
Well, this is David Tulis. We're talking with Tetzel Tillery, who has I think 6 gigs. Now let me just kind of go through the count. I thought it was 5, but you work for a school on traffic. That's 1. Rick Davis, 2 days a week, about 10 hours a week. Is that right?
Uh-huh.
You work at McDonald's. There's an employer there at either 2 restaurants. There's JJ Liquors on Rossville Boulevard. Then there's Bojangles on East 23rd Street. So that's 5 plus 1. The town corporation whose uniform you wear as a police officer. That's actually 6. You have 6 gigs, Tetzel Tillery. Did you not count that up right earlier?
It slipped my mind.
Well, this just goes to show you that you, my listener, in the area of your expertise, in the area in which you are good, right, and where your strengths are, you can certainly expand your area of service. Like me, I'm in media. I'm trying to expand my area of service across media platforms as a writer, as a journalist, as someone who talks on the radio. And Tetzel Tillery is doing the same thing. He's bringing prosperity to all the people who hire him. He's making their properties secure. And he's scaring away potential troublemakers, panhandlers, and folks who want to harass the clientele. They're not going to come around if they see an officer standing there with his gear and his stern look and his watchful eye. And that is what I think the marketplace calls everyone to do. You especially. Now, your field is different. You have another area of gift. And it's not in security, okay? It's in something different. So what can you do to expand the number of people you serve? That's where capitalism comes in. That's where the marketplace provides its great benefit, where you find people to help, whether it's an employer or whether it's someone with whom you work as a contractor. Now, Tetzel Tillery, in these 5 gigs you have other than the city, are you a 1099er or are you employed?
Self-employed.
Okay, so you're self-employed on all of those. So you're a contractor. You come to the party engaging you as an equal. You are having a contract, an arrangement, an agreement. You are not subordinated through employment, though. With the city, of course, all officers are employees, and that's a different relationship. But here, you are in fact an entrepreneur, right? You are an entrepreneur.
I guess you could say
as hiring, moonlighting out, and helping 5. Actually, it's 5 people in business in the Chattanooga area near the border there with Georgia. And Tetzel Tillery officer is there looking out for safety and security. This is David Tulis, And we're brought to you by Trade Bank of Chattanooga, the smarter way to barter and to improve your cash flow. You trade among 400 local businesses in every field, great and small, national players, local players as well. Ask Jürgen Mutz to explain how Trade Bank works for you. That's Jürgen Mutz, the German with a southern twang. That's him. And his number is 877-2202, 877-2202. If you have a broken cell phone screen, you can get $10 off to have it fixed right now. Go right now to Cell Surgeon, which I should say is at the front of Northgate Mall, right next to Old Chicago's Pizza, right next to Chicago's Pizza in Northgate Mall. $10 off on your screen repair. Ask for it, right, on your smartphone or any other device. It's $10 off. Ask for that, and tell Adam Disbro that you are a listener here at AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. 668-0100 is the number, 668-0100. Cell Surgeon open Sunday. Tetzel, Tillery, thank you so much.
All right. A pleasure.